Good afternoon. My name is Christian Kansley, and today I will be discussing my response to assignment 1 for IDC 6601. The topic of my presentation is SIM swapping and T-Mobile security practices. So let me provide a little bit of context. Within the past 2 years, T-Mobile has been regularly the target of attacks, SIM swapping attacks being a regular social engineering attack performed against the company and other mobile carriers. There were also 2 data breaches that had occurred within the past 2 years. The data that was leaked from these breaches include social security numbers, date of birth, addresses, and important personal identifying information. With all this data being released into the wild, users are potentially more susceptible to social engineering attacks, identity theft, and possibly SIM swapping as well. So SIM swapping, for those who are unaware, is a social engineering attack intended to switch the associated SIM card of the victim with a SIM card within the control of the attacker. Imagine this attack just happened to you. Your cell provider was called and the attacker somehow convinced them they were you, and they changed your account info to be associated with their SIM card. So what? Besides the inconvenience of not being able to call or text and your phone just not working properly, there are several other negative ramifications. A good portion of account recovery methods are usually associated with our phone numbers. Attackers now have a means to attempt to recover your account. All they really need is either an email or a username and your phone number, and now they can take complete ownership of your account and lock you out. However, you may be thinking to yourself that some accounts can only do recovery methods via email, meaning they need access to your email. Well, email also does have the negative of having recovery methods associated with phone numbers. So they would, if they were to use an account, try to gain access to an account that is email locked, then they can try to just access your email. For the disaster recovery for the major events that had occurred for those data breaches, T-Mobile and their contractors were able to isolate and remove the attackers, however, not before the data was exfiltrated. Besides offering monitoring and ID protection services for 2 years, they were also offering McAfee subscriptions to the affected users. T-Mobile is also expected to pay upwards of $350 million to their affected users. An interesting choice for the disaster recovery process, though, was that T-Mobile attempted to broker a deal with the attacker. Initially, they were going to pay them $250,000 to sell the data back to T-Mobile. However, the attacker took the $200,000 and then they, in lack of better terms, killed the hostage anyway. They proceeded to sell the data regardless of a deal being made. So the thought process behind this could come from previous data breaches. T-Mobile may have determined that this was an acceptable loss and that they had money allocated to the side for potential ransom. So let's speculate on how this could have occurred. There are a few possibilities of how this data breach could have happened. One, that could have simply been SIM swapping admins. It's definitely a possibility, but let's assume that T-Mobile is using another multi-factor authentication method than just sending a text. As a mobile carrier, they are prone to SIM swapping attempts, so they should have some kind of method in place other than just text messages being their multi-factor. Usually the simplest solution tends to be the actual answer. So I would say it may have been a phishing campaign. T-Mobile has not come out and said it in any official capacity that it was a phishing campaign. However, according to plenty of the articles discussing this topic, they believe that it was a phishing campaign and a junior tech may have accidentally clicked on a malicious link. So how are we going to prevent this in the future? As security professionals, we always need to consider methods to strengthen our businesses, make them hardened targets, if you will. So one method is using a multi-factor that is not phone number specific or necessarily email specific. Possible technologies to resolve this would be like Okta or OneLogin, where the multi-factor authentication is registered to a specific device rather than a specific SIM card or phone number or something like that. This can always be paired with just-in-time access. And for those who are unaware what just-in-time access is, it's a method of granting access to admins and user accounts within specific windows of operation, or give them elevated access for a specific task and then revoke that access when that task is completed. We could always suggest more training on best safety practices. However, this can definitely become redundant and affect user motivation. I have sat through plenty of trainings where it was the same thing as last week, and it can definitely, you can see people's eyes glaze over and not be engaged in that training. And finally, do not pay ransom. This should be a no-brainer. Unfortunately, if you do pay ransom, there are two negatives that could occur from this. One, there is no guarantee the attacker will fulfill their end of the bargain. And this is one such example. Granted, the amount of money that T-Mobile lost was relatively small in the grand scheme of things, is still not ideal. And also, if you are to pay attackers, it sends out a message to other malicious actors out there that you as a company or you as an individual would be willing to negotiate. These are the references provided. These were provided for the assignment. I also added one or two more to further reinforce the information that I have here. And I would like to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to speak. Have a great day.